All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Shiva. I agree. It's around, actually, it's afternoons, almost 12 noon here in Massachusetts time, but we have people from all over the world, from Norway, from India, Asia Pacific, and obviously the United States. What I want to talk about today is really opening people's eyes to the fact that those in power, the elites, as I did in a recent video called The Swarm, are extremely clever at taking advantage of people and manipulating people, especially when they know that people are awakening and that we need to build a bottoms-up movement. Many of you know, for many, many years, for decades, I've been very focused on integrating my understanding of politics, science, and health. Truth, Freedom, Health. TruthFreedomHealth.com is where you can go and you can find out more about our movement. Today, we're holding one of our Truth, Freedom, Health open houses, and we have a number of people on the call here on Zoom, and they'll be asking questions. But I wanted to broadcast this out to everyone to share some very, very important insights into what's going on in the new theater that's going on with this quote unquote Trump indictment. Look, I voted for Donald Trump back in 2016, put up thousands of lawn signs for him, gave him money because he presented himself just like Bernie Sanders did when he ran against Hillary as the opposition candidate, just like Jesse Jackson did in 1984 against Mondale and Reagan. But what you come to see is this pattern that the establishment has two layers on how it operates. It's got the one layer where it has the obvious establishment that people can easily critique. In the case of modern times, you can look at it, any major country, the existing establishment party, the Conservative Party or the Democratic Party or the Labor, whoever it is, the existing leadership. In the United States, it is people like Clinton, or is it on the Democrat side, or people like Obama, right? It's obvious, or McConnell, right? It's obvious for everyday people to say, oh yeah, those guys are bad, right? I don't like the Democrat establishment or Republican establishment. So that's what I call the obvious establishment. But since 1930, 1940, 1920, the elites have gotten very, very clever. If you remember that diagram, the swarm, I talked about the true front facing. They have the obvious establishment, but they also have the not so obvious establishment. And these people are the true, in my view, if you want to assign a word, the real devils, the real Satan, because they will literally steal words from guys like me who are actually walk the walk, or guys like, or people in our movement, or people from actual ground people who are actually fighting. They'll say decentralization. They'll say, we care about kids, Children's Health Defense Fund, okay? They'll use all of these words, but ultimately they use those words to manipulate you back into the establishment. And it's called the not so obvious establishment. They never walk the walk. They talk, but they never walk. And Trump has done it, Biden does it, the Kennedys are masters at this. The entire Kennedy family is the not so obvious establishment. In India, it was the Mahatma Gandhi was an example, or even the MLK family. The establishment is very clever in creating their heroes that they shove down people's throat. And as a part of that, they create a dialectic, they create the theater. This is no different than WEF wrestling or WWE or WWE wrestling. If you were a kid, you would see these two wrestlers fight, all right? And they would always make it look like this guy's the underdog. Oh my God, he's going to be beaten. And everyone will cheer for this guy. And then and somehow when he's the underdog, he rises up. But when they go back in their back rooms, both of these individuals are collecting money from everyday working people who come to these wrestling matches thinking that's a real fight is going on. Donald Trump was a part of WWE, literally, with Vince McMahon. Donald Trump's agent, go look who he is, Ari Emanuel, who's one of the biggest Hollywood agents, who runs an organization called Endeavor, which used to be called William Morris Agency, which basically is the largest agency, the most quote unquote prestigious agency in Hollywood, which manages the biggest stars. So Endeavor, run by a guy called Ari Emanuel, who was Trump's agent, runs an agency which manages all the Hollywood stars. And by the way, when I say manages them, in order to make it in Hollywood, you better have an agent, and you do what the agent says, or your career is done. You don't have a career. So Ari Emanuel's agency, Endeavor, manages all the biggest Hollywood agents. William Morris, now it's called Endeavor. Well, guess what? They also own UFC wrestling. I mean, the boxing match, which is also all fixed. And recently, for $6.2 billion, they bought WWE wrestling. So think about what I'm saying. One individual, one organization runs political theater, boxing theater, wrestling theater, Hollywood theater. The elites want you to be entertained. And every time they entertain you, you're giving them money. How many of you actually think anything is going to happen to Trump? How many of you actually think that? Why does this guy always come to the brink and always get away? It is no different than Mad Dog Idiot, who's a wrestler, and you think, oh my God, he's dead. And then he suddenly rises, has a resurrection, and he fights the guy. So working people need to get that you're all being played. Biden plays one wing, Trump plays the other wing, and they have literally set the theater up. So think about this. Trump gets indicted, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. People give him money. Why are people giving him money? Why are people giving a billionaire money? Can you explain this to me? This is actually fucking stupid. These people do not need your money. All of those people running for office on the GOP or Democrat sides have already stashed away money. Why is anyone giving Robert F. Kennedy money? Booby effing Kennedy. Here's a guy who's got $1 billion trust fund. His family made money off the liquor trade and still make money. He lies through his teeth. His words do not match his deeds. And I'm going to I'm going to give you the example of Kennedy on the quote unquote Democrat side and Trump on the Biden side. And I know both of these guys. And you're going to learn, and hopefully before the end of this video, you will go into the mirror and say, what a fucking idiot I am if I'm giving these people money and they're playing you. The average American today has only $400 in savings in their bank account. 80% of people in the United States do not even have enough money if there's the shit hits the fan and something happens economically. And these same people, working class people, are giving these billionaires who live in Malibu, play golf in Mar-a-Lago money. Just consider the stupidity of this. Our movement, Truth, Freedom, Health, exists to awaken you. It's not about them. It's about time you awaken your consciousness to understand the idiocracy of all of this. And things change in the world when two important things occur. One is you raise your consciousness. You have enough leaders who raise their consciousness. You don't need everyone. And then you have a movement, an independent movement, bottoms up. And you cannot run off to a farm and think you're going to go, I'm going to just raise my chickens and cows. Well, you can't do that because there's chemtrails falling down. You can't do that. Sounds good. Sounds like you're doing something, but you can't. We have to build a bottoms up movement. Bottoms up. But that movement has to be grounded in the right scientific theory so you succeed. No different than you have to have the right scientific theory if you're going to build an airplane, or the right scientific theory if you're going to build a bridge. Simply having good ideas, simply being sort of spiritual or a good heart is not going to cut it. We have to have the right scientific theory. It took me 40 years to understand that theory. If you Systems and Revolution embodies that, it took me 40 years to write that book. In 100 pages, in 3 hours of a course, you can all learn this. And I would love to give it away for free, but anytime I give it away for free, no one wants it. But we give it to children away for free. But you adults out there need to recognize that your parents really didn't do their job. And when I say that, is they got away from building movements. They outsourced their future to idiotic celebrities and politicians. And that's the reason we're here. And the movement for Truth, Freedom, Health is the only force on the planet that is galvanizing this bottoms-up movement, founded in community, founded in scientific theory, and founded in recognizing we have to build local leaders who understand this. And we're doing that every microsecond we do that. This meeting we're holding here is to take an event that's going on right now and to put it in the context of what I call the swarm in that video. The swarm is the elites. They're not any one individual. They're not some religious group, okay? They're not some people who live in a particular location. They're global, they're decentralized, they're multiracial, and they're highly interconnected. Please go study that video. It is people who are in the banking industry. It is people who are in government. It's the 100 university professors. It is the central banks. It's not any one person. So if you just focus on any one person, you say, oh my God, he said a great speech about the central banks. That's it. No, it isn't. Oh my God, he attacked academia. Nope, that's not it either. Oh my God, it's the vaccines. Nope, that's not it. It's an entire swarm. And that swarm is very sophisticated. And guys like me who came from nothing, bottoms up, who got all these degrees at MIT, were supposed to be part of that. But I will never be part of that because I remember where I came from and I actually care about the suffering of people. That's why I did all those videos in 2020. So let's go to 2020 to understand what a scumbag Trump is, what a scumbag Robert F. Kennedy is, what a scumbag, we all already know Fauci. Writing a book called The Real Anthony Fauci doesn't change anything. Any idiot knows he's a scumbag. But let's talk about par exemplar Donald J. Trump, scumbag one, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., another big scumbag. What did they do in 2020? Let's go back. And these are the facts. And if any one of you wants to excuse them of this and give them money, please don't watch this. You basically need to have your head checked because that is a brainwashing that's done. That's no different than you watching WEF wrestling and thinking you're actually seeing a real fight. Okay, 2020. Let's go, in fact, back to 2019. I was on the ground building demonstrations, handing out flyers while I was in my own digital lab doing scientific work. And back to 2013, 2015, we did the earliest science exposing Monsanto. While Robert fucking Kennedy was endorsing Hillary Clinton in 2016. 2015, she was pro-Monsanto. Kennedy endorsed her in 2016. Please write that down. Go look it up. Not only did he endorse her once, but 3 times. So here's a woman who's involved with Monsanto, who poisons the waters, poisons the land, promotes genetically engineered food. And then here's this freaking lying fool called Robert fucking Kennedy, who says, oh yeah, I run Water Keepers thing to help the environment. Oh yeah, I'm for Children's Health Defense Fund. Give me money. But over here, he endorsed Hillary Clinton. And people give money to this asshole. And yes, this is the unadulterated, this is the adult version of the video, and John will create the G-rated version. But the anger that I have is the anger I feel for the exploitation of everyday people. Robert fucking Kennedy endorsed Hillary Clinton, not once, not twice, 3 times when she was supporting Monsanto's policies. Think about that. And yet this guy has Children's Health Defense Fund asking people for money as though he's helping children. Come on. Do you see the duplicity? He doesn't walk the walk. He endorsed pro-Monsanto, pro-vaccine mandating whore Hillary Clinton. That's what Robert fucking Kennedy did. What did Robert Kennedy do in 2020? I was the first one to say no to the lockdowns. You can go look at it. Go look at my Twitter feed. March of 2020, I put out a tweet saying this is absolutely bullshit. Robert Kennedy endorsed strict lockdowns, lock, step, and barrel with Fauci. And then he justifies it saying, oh, it's going to help the environment. That's Robert fucking Kennedy. Bullshitter. And now he's presenting himself as though he's a fighter for medical freedom. Nonsense. Go look at his video on rfkexposed.com. Kennedy is the one who said, I vaccinated all my kids. I believe in full vaccination of all Americans. And then he goes on in that same video, I have the full video, where he goes on to say, yes, I'm going to fight the corrupt government officials. Well, how are you going to do it, booby? Oh, I'm going to get them to create safe vaccines. Do you understand the bullshit? You're going to go fight. You're going to basically tell the same corrupt animal that it should produce safe vaccines. He must think you're all stupid. And if you're giving him money, you are fucking stupid. Stop it. Now let's go to Trump. And I can go on Kennedy if you want. The guy is a walking piece of shit who is absolutely, he knows what he's doing. The Kennedys know how to speak with 5 sides of their mouth. And the liberal imperialist elites, and they're all coming together, be it Fucker Carlson, be it Glenn Greenwald, all of them give them visibility. They know we exist, but they know we're the real deal. So they make us invisible. But Robert fucking Kennedy, if you're giving him 1 penny, you have to have your head checked. Look at what he actually said and what he actually did. Let's go to Trump. All right, Trump gets elected. If elections are selections, how did Trump get elected? If you believe elections are truly selections, how did Trump get elected? And I would like to assert this. You see, go back to what happened in 2008 to 2016, okay? That 8-year period. All the working people were enamored by another fool called Obama, okay? A black man who's going to be the first president. 50% of people voted for Trump, voted for Obama. I don't know if you know that. So Obama, great marketing, guy comes out of nowhere, gets pushed. You see, that's how it occurs because he's part of the swarm. He gets pushed as some leader fighting for everyday people. What did Obama actually do? He did everything against working people. Obamacare essentially put in full force GPOs and PBMs, the middlemen, who skyrocketed the cost of healthcare, forcing people on healthcare. And then you can never get out of this, but the fundamental issues, the cost of healthcare skyrocketed. That was Obama. He didn't do anything against crime, be it in his own, state where he came from or for the United States. But more fundamentally, he printed close to $8.2 trillion. That's in two terms, okay? So the elites knew, wow, okay, we used a black guy. We confused the masses for a while so they wouldn't build an independent movement. Remember, the goal is to make sure you don't get off your butt. You don't build an independent movement. That's what this is about, that you do not build an independent movement and that you do not understand the science of systems, because that foundation is what's been missing. The elites, by the way, go to the biggest schools and they learn the science of systems. And if you don't have that knowledge, I don't care what other good ideas you have, you're going to be screwed. So it took me 20 years to put that together. And that's what we call our Warrior Scholar program. We made it accessible to everyone. But the bottom line is that when they knew the Obama front end was coming down, working class people were saying, this guy's full of shit. Then what happened? They had to find a white hope. They used a black hope. They needed to find a white hope. So in comes Trump. Remember, Trump's been involved with WWE wrestling. He's been involved with The Apprentice. He's a front man. He wanted to be in Hollywood. He wanted to be in front of the camera, okay? That's what he wanted. So they find this guy and they give him all the marketing messaging. That's what they call it. Lock her up, drain the swamp. It got it. All the white working class and multiracial working class riled up. Oh, he's going to be anti-establishment. And what did Trump actually do? Drain the swamp. Are you fucking serious? The guy brought in the swamp into the White House. It was a swamp. Ivanka and Jared Kushner are the epitome of the swamp. Jared Kushner left with a $2 billion beautiful low interest loan from the Saudis. That's the swamp. Everyone Trump brought in was a swamp. And then they had the Q movement led by other fools like Flynn and other idiots who told the working class in this country, wait, next week Trump is going to do this. Wait, don't fight. Wait. So for 4 years, they kept people waiting as though Jesus was going to come. And what happened during those 4 years? Actual annihilation of working class people. That's what happened. You see, it was a complete theater. So what did Trump do in 2020? He is the one who did the lockdowns. He promoted vaccines. He promoted fully the Operation Warp Speed, which allowed pharmaceutical companies, which were tanking in revenue, to explosively grow in revenue. Pfizer was down to $45 billion in revenue from $65 billion 5 years ago. In 2020, they exploded to 2021 to $80 billion in revenue and then 100. That was Donald Trump. Donald Trump got paid $1 million by Pfizer for his inauguration. You see, the words don't match the deeds. He supported Big Pharma. During the campaign, he said, I'm against them. He supported lockdowns. $16 trillion, 16 trillion, write that number down, is what got expended, how much loss the United States suffered. He printed close to $7 trillion. He printed as much money as Obama did in 2 terms in 1 term. And where did that money go? Well, 80% of that money went right to Wall Street and the big banks. 600 billionaires during Trump administration increased their wealth by $2.3 trillion. You see, it's all making money. And guys like me, when I ran in 2020, we're the ones who exposed the real issues with election systems, chain of custody, ballot images being deleted, signature verification. We called it election fraud, not voter fraud. Trump saw our stuff. He changed it to election fraud, and he made about $500 million. I met with him. I said, where did all this money go? What did you do with all this? Why don't we actually start an institute to fight this? Nothing. He doesn't want to spend money. For him, politics is another way of bamboozling the masses like WWE wrestling and making money. This indictment, come on. He's making money. This is the best thing that could have happened to him. Every time he gets indicted, he knows how to message it. So dumb fucking people give him money. Why are you giving a billionaire money? How much do you think? You think Trump's going to let you into Mar-a-Lago, his membership, for nothing? No, you have to pay $250,000 minimum. He's playing golf. He's chilling out because he knows nothing's going to happen. So this is, and you can keep this video. This is what's really going to happen. They may do all this theater. They may want him to run or not run. He probably will make more money either way. And at the end of it, working people are going to give this guy a lot of money. The court case will drag out to maybe middle of next year, end of next year. If he wins office, he's going to get rid of the court case. If he loses, what's going to happen then? Well, I'm saying if he loses the election, well, the Democrats won't care because they'll be back in office anyway. But fundamentally, during this process right now, the Democratic National Committee is sending out emails in Biden to working class Democrats and saying, give us money, give us money. See, Joe Biden got Trump. And people are giving donations to Joe Biden, the DNC. Over here, the RNC and the Trump movement is sending emails to people saying, give us money, give us money, give us money. See, he's a martyr. He's being attacked. Who is giving all this money? It's working class people whose hard-earned income, they barely have $400 in savings, are giving both wings of the establishment, the obvious and the not so obvious, money. And then you have idiot Kennedy over here lying to people saying he fought for children. He's for the environment. When he funded Hillary Clinton, he's asking for money. Why does Bobby Kennedy need money? Have you been to his house? Let's go check his bank account that he's a fucking trust fund guy. Why are people giving these people money? I really want to understand this, because if you're giving Trump, Biden, Kennedy, any of these people money, after you've heard this and after you know that you're being paid, what you might as well just go to WWE wrestling as an adult and think that that wrestling thing is real, because that's what's going on. And all of these people are very interconnected. They all sleep with each other. They're all incestuous. They're one. They all go to the same restaurants. They all send their children to the same equestrian schools. Literally, they don't need your money. But the fact that you're giving them your money says that you have a state of consciousness which thinks that the left-right is real. It isn't. It's pure theater. It's all theater. And all of this theater is being done to make sure you don't build an independent movement. And in fact, this theater is accelerating when they see the growth of the movement for truth, freedom, and health. We reached close to 500 million people all over the world without any of their media. And I can substantiate all that. And now we have close to 500,000 people who are coming into our movement. And they know that video I did for the swarm, I'm sure got about 50 million views, but they constrain it through shadow banning. It doesn't matter. The genie's out of the bag. The movement for truth, freedom, health exists. I'm running for US president. And one of the closest associates to Trump told a friend of mine who relayed it, he says, Dr. Shiva's running for office is a major disruption for all of us.
Give me 1 second. Yes.
John? All right. Can you mute them, please? So what I want to emphasize to all of you is the following. We have to build an independent movement. We've created that infrastructure for your truth, freedom, health. We have the knowledge, the community, the training, but you have to go through that. You can't wing it. And it's taken years to do that. So those of you listening, go to truthfreedomhealth.com, become a warrior scholar, become part of this global community, and get educated or you will be enslaved. Number two, those of you in the United States recognize that you finally have, you don't have to choose between the lesser of two evils. And you don't have to make an excuse, well, I don't know if an independent can get elected. Well, you have no choice, because Democrat and Republican, left and right globally, have degenerated the lifespan of children. If you're in the United States, your children are going to live younger than you, or are going to die younger than you did, okay? So if you live to 78, they're going to die at maybe 60. Think about that. They do not give a damn about you. It's guys like me, it's people in our movement, working people who actually care about the suffering. That's why I do these videos. That's why I do all the education. And that's why our movement exists. It is time that we build a bottoms-up movement. And it is, in closing, in direct opposition to this bottoms-up movement that's coming for truth, freedom, health, they are creating the political theater. And it is people like Trump and people like Kennedy on the left and the right. It used to be people like Bernie Sanders that they used. They're riling people up, and at the end of the day, they'll drive you back into the arms of the establishment. They do not walk the walk. Please do not give money to these silver spoon billionaire, spoiled brats who don't deserve it. Wake the fuck up. Thank you. Let me take some questions. Let's take 3 questions, John. Go ahead. 3 questions, John, and then we'll end the stream. Any questions on anyone have any illusions? I know Joe Petrocelli was here earlier, and he was talking about, the Trump indictment. Joe, I don't know if you want to ask that, but the Trump indictment, is just more money making. It's a new money making model for Trump. Okay. Biden makes money, Trump makes money. That's what this is. And why are you, go to get, I don't know, in the United States, you go to get an avocado, it's freaking free $4 for an avocado. Go look at the prices. They're explosively, everyday people can't afford it. And yet you're giving money to these guys who get the best pasture raised organic beef and they never even worked for it. John, let's take a question.
What is your take on U.S. policy in Haiti?
U.S. policy in Haiti? Let's look at, first of all, Haiti. They found massive amounts of oil reserves, okay? And Haiti has essentially been used and abused by, U.S. imperialism and European imperialism for years, just like Cuba was used as a whorehouse for the elites. If you look at Haiti as a country, every time that a true bottoms-up movement comes there and they get elect their leaders, the United States swoops in and destroys that country. Haiti has massive amounts of oil resources. And U.S. imperialism, global imperialism, all the elites, the Clintons, all of these people, right? They use Haiti for child trafficking. They use Haiti for their cheap labor. And they use Haiti fundamentally as a tool to make sure that anytime a real leader comes up, they smash them. The United States should stay out of Haiti, let the people of Haiti figure it out, let them have access to their resources, because they have quite a bit of resources. But if you look at the last 50, 60 years, it's not like Haiti got better. Go look at it in the 70s, there were the people called the Tonton Macoutes. And the Tonton Macoutes were the most fascist army who used to just go through the streets and just kill people who were trying to rise up. And that entire Tonton Macoutes across Democrats and Republicans was supported by the US government. That's US imperialism in action. It does not want true democracy in other people's countries, yet they talk about democracy. And the people who really do this in a very insidious way are the liberal imperialists on the Democrats and Republican side. They talk a good game. We're going to bring democracy to the world, but they actually subjugate people. Next, John.
From YouTube, what do you think about free energy, 0 point energy?
Yeah, look, I haven't had a chance to go look at it. There's a lot of very, it's one of the things I want to do. So there's a lot of very interesting theories and science, which I haven't, again, had the chance to explore, of the fact that there's energy sources that they call free energy that are just in the environment and in the ground. There have been interesting experiments that have been done, and some people say these experiments were fraud, and others say, no, they were absolutely not fraud. When I went to Sardinia, I went to the university where they actually they claim they've replicated some of Tesla's experiments, but again, they weren't able to show it to us. So I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I can tell you this one thing. In the 1980s, in a related topic, something very profound took place. Some of you may have heard of this thing called cold fusion, okay? Billions and billions of dollars have gone from the American people's tax dollars to support hot fusion, where you literally have a reactor and you fuse the nuclei of 2 atoms. Fission creates a certain amount of energy, but fusion creates enormously more energy. It's how the sun works. Now, what's fascinating is hot fusion was what's been funded for, since decades, okay, last 60 years, and it's never made that much progress. Well, at MIT in 1980, a very interesting set of events took place, late 80s. It wasn't at MIT, it was at Pons and Fleischmann, Utah. They had discovered that on a tabletop, and they couldn't explain why, they were able to do what was called cold fusion. without requiring all these massive billions of dollars worth of reactors in a beaker. So energy went in and more energy came out. And they weren't able to fully explain it. Anyway, you can go read about it, cold fusion. It hit the front page of the New York Times, and it came to MIT. Well, what came out many years later by a guy called Eugene Mallow. Eugene Mallow was the science editor of the MIT Tech Talk, which is the major, administration newspaper at MIT. And so Eugene Mallow was trying to figure out what was going on. The MIT Nuclear Engineering Department was getting all the data from Pons and Fleischmann, and they were sending it to Mallow, and they were basically saying nothing's going on. This is fraud. It's discredited. However, Eugene Mallow, when he was getting data from the Nuclear Engineering Department at MIT, he got one piece of data which he was not supposed to get. A graduate student had replicated the Pons and Fleischmann experiment, showing that in fact something was going on. So when Eugene Mallow saw this, he said, wow, is MIT lying to me? Are they just trying to put down a major discovery because they're going to lose funding for the hot fusion stuff that they were getting hundreds of millions of dollars from the Department of Energy? Now, Eugene Mallow was at MIT for nearly 25 years. He was a physicist out of Harvard. He was no flunky. He wrote a letter to the president of MIT saying, what you're doing is there's something serious going on here. And then he resigned MIT in disgust. He wrote a book called Fire to Ice, which basically said that there is something significant going on with this cold fusion phenomenon and what the suppression that took place. Anyway, he was found dead in his home. I'm not saying there's a connection here after that. But the point is that those in power, the swarm, do not want everyday people to be unenslaved. They want to enslave people. And the only way that this is going to change, even though Eugene Mallow tried to do something, it's not going to be one individual. It's not going to be a martyr. We have to build a movement. So when it comes to free energy, given what I just shared with you with the cold fusion thing out of MIT, I can probably agree that there's many ways to produce energy that will put a lot of these guys out of business. But we're never going to see that unless you have guys like me, guys like you, women and men like you, who rise to leadership with the right understanding beyond left and right. That is the only way. We have to build a movement. All this other stuff, lesser of two evils, Trump indictments. Why the fuck do we care if Trump's being indicted? What the fuck has he done for you? Why do we care if Biden's going to be indicted? These people are just playing games. We have to build a movement. And that is what we're doing. So be part of Truth, Freedom, and Health. Go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Become involved in the Shiva for President campaign. We're going to get on the ballot in every state, and that will set a bomb off to them because no independent candidate has ever been able to pull that off. So I'm asking each one of you, if you're one of us and you're not one of them, and let me be very clear, it is us versus them. Don't let anyone tell you it is not, well, we're all one big family. No, we're not. No, we're not. It is us versus them. And there's more of us than them. So the only way they're controlling you is by manipulating you to give money to them. It's absolute idiocracy. And the only way we're going to find out free energy is real, or we're going to stop the abuses in Haiti or other countries, it's going to come from the American working people rising up in a real movement. One more question, John. This will be the last question. We'll come back.
Yeah, sorry. So these are two closely related ones. One is, how many people do you think is the critical mass for creating the phase change you talk about? Number two, and related to that is, who are you planning to bring in your organization to build the bottoms-up movement?
Well, first of all, let me start. First of all, to let everyone know, there's a book I wrote. Again, it took me 20 years to write that book because it's taking these complex systems, and this is not, you don't have to buy the book. When you become a Truth, Freedom, Health warrior, you get it anyway, but it's called System and Revolution. Everyone needs to understand what is a system. Now, in the swarm video, I gave you a deep insight into what is a system, and then what is a revolution. A revolution is ultimately, from a scientific perspective, a phase change. It's when enough atoms start moving in a different way that it goes from one phase to another, no different from ice going from ice to water and then water to steam. At an exact temperature it occurs. Revolutions are not slow. When someone says, well, everything is incremental, you got to wait. No, it's bullshit. Revolutions occur like that. when you have, and this is to answer your question on critical mass. The issue is, what do we mean by critical mass? Do we mean like all 8 billion people getting it? No. It turns out that when you have enough conscious people who understand it at a very, very detailed level, change occurs overnight. Think about this. How many people know how to build a nuclear bomb? Really know how to build it end to end? Maybe 500 people on the planet. But each one of those individuals is a very powerful human being, right? Anyone can go start a fire, burn some trees down and get some heat. But a nuclear physicist can take a little bit of plutonium and they know how to produce incredible amount of power. The curriculum, the knowledge, the science that we put together, Truth, Freedom, and Health, makes you the equivalent of a nuclear physicist. So how many do we need? At the leadership level, our views, we need about 1,000 people. And that's why, we've had close to 500,000 people now get involved in the movement globally. We know there's close to 500 million people who've seen my videos. And they know that the amount of millions of people's lives that those videos saved, particularly when I talked about vitamin D3, particularly all those things that people could do independent of getting the jab in 2020. So they know, they have great trust in our movement. But one of the critical things we're doing now is all of you listening, first of all, do it for your children because they're killing your children. And it's not going to happen by giving booby fucking Kennedy money, moron. It's going to happen by you getting off your butts, learning the science of systems. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com to do that. And if you don't want to do that and you want to jump in and help, go to shivaforpresident.com. Become a volunteer. If you want to donate, great. But by the way, when you donate, I do not want to take your money for nothing. I give you books and courses because I want you to raise your consciousness. I would say we need 1,000 solid leaders distributed globally because we have lots of warriors now. We have lots of people taking the course, but they need leadership. So that's the number. It's not a lot of people. Think about how many people are involved in starting the American Revolution. And these people didn't take guns and start shooting people. They had a high state of consciousness. When you read the Constitution, you realize the Bill of Rights was done by people with an extraordinary sense of consciousness. Robert Booby Kennedy could never have written the Constitution. Neither could have Trump. Neither could have Biden. Neither could have Bernie Sanders. You know what they would have been doing? They would have been the not so obvious establishment for the British. Well, we don't really need a revolution. We can do it like this. Bullshit. That's what they're doing now. They know the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement is the revolution. So they're speaking all the words, but they do not want to do anything to the swarm because they're all part of it. Go look at Robert Kennedy's wife. She was the personal assistant to Rob Reiner, who I've met, who's a complete freaking liberal imperialist dope. Go look at who Trump hung out with, Hillary Clinton. Who did Kennedy endorse? Hillary Clinton. You see, they're all one family. So the bottom line is the movement is going to come from you raising your consciousness. And let me just be very clear. John, I'm going to share my screen. Can I share my screen? If you go to Truth, Freedom, and Health, you'll see that the movement itself is a system. It's not any one thing. And the big problem that I want to talk to you guys, and by the way, we have many, many victories, is this is a problem right now that we face. We have lots of information out there. You can get all sorts of information. People literally take my information like Kennedy and Trump and they replicate it. So there's lots of information. But is that making the world a better place? Well, look at the data. It's not. What it's actually doing is nearly 650 million people are anxious and depressed. 51% of children feel hopeless. 40% of people in the world want to overthrow their governments. 2.5 billion people are obese. And the next 10 years, it's going to be nearly 4 billion people. 52% of people are completely confused on what to eat. 95% of people in the world have health problems, with one having 5 ailments. So it is not information is getting us better. And the reason is because of this. People are being used because with all that information, people are made ignorant because people take pieces of that information, not like the swarm video tell you the whole. And this leads people to illusion and confusion. Some people become complacent. Well, I'm just going to take care of my little garden. I'm going to grow my organic food. I'm going to just take care of me. Other people become desperate. They get a gun and think they're going to shoot people. That's going to change the world, terrorism. And other people get divided into left or right. The only way out of this is knowledge. And knowledge is not information. Knowledge is understanding the science of how things are connected. And that is a fundamental gift that we do at Truth, Freedom, Health. With that, you get wisdom. And why is wisdom important? Because now you realize, what the fuck am I doing giving money to Trump? What the fuck am I doing giving money to booby fucking Kennedys? Why do they need my money? You say, it's up to me. Let me link arms with other people. Let me get innovative. Let me get organized. But in order to do that, you have to let go of the old. You have to have self-respect for yourself. You have to start recognizing that you need to become your own guru. Fortunately, we put together that entire infrastructure. What does that infrastructure include? Well, this is a course I used to teach at MIT. People pay a lot of money. You get this. You understand what is a system. You understand that the science of systems goes back 10,000 years. You understand that we must build a movement, and that comes out of systems understanding. You get books. You get access to understand the theory. One of the tools that I'm very proud of, is it took me 20 years to build this tool. You can actually use system science to understand how your body is a system. You don't have to be a slave to some diet or some diet guru. You get to become your own healer. Hippocrates said, he who is not his own doctor is a fool. Well, this tool allows you to do that. You understand food is a system. Every 2 months, we do free special lectures. We take a major system and we go over it. We taught people meditation about 2 months ago, right? We want you to teach others. We have a portal where you can share knowledge with your neighbors. I enjoy doing these one-on-ones, but most importantly, we're a community. Someone talked about community. We are a community. We exist already. And then we want you to get on the ground. We have flyers, cards. We want you to go neighbor to neighbor. No one else is going to do it but us. They're not going to do it. We have a tool where it's a Twitter equivalent, a tool that's a Facebook equivalent, and a tool that's our own platform for communicating knowledge. Bottom line, everyone, in closing, everything they do, and I mean them, is to create theater and to create false heroes and to lie through their teeth, because they do not want you building the movement for truth, freedom, health, because they know it's truly independent. And we're not relying on them to make us visible. They know they will do everything to shadow ban, make us invisible. That is why the future is offline. And the future is you. There's no one else going to do it. And you have to start asking the right questions. Well, what about Trump? Oh my God, he's being indicted. Wrong question, D-. Ask the right question. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And what am I going to do with others who are one of us? I'm one of you. And people have to wake up to that. John Medlar is one of me, right? Kinara is one of us. Renee is one of us. Victor Fabian's one of us. Jeffrey Biliotto is one of us. All of you are one of us. They don't like you. Let me be very clear. They think you're all, as I've heard them say, I've heard people like Kennedy say the masses are asses. That's what Trump thinks. They do not like you. Stop giving them your money. Wake the fuck up. Thank you. Everyone on Zoom, stay here. We'll continue our conversation. Thanks, John. John, if you can go to full mode, I just want to make sure